ourselves. And the result is, if we don't have these principles and founding ideas in our hearts, then the next step is bondage. And I think that this idea of teaching in a group setting is something that I want to do to help others.
That influence for liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel myself seeing this cycle and I don't know how to say it, putting myself on a different cycle. I fight this societal cycle with everything I have because I see it, and because the thing about this cycle that was so great for me was I watched her put it up there and I was like, well, that pretty much looks like the cycle in the Book of Mormon to me.
It is.
And so my question about the cycle that she assigned us to do was, I grew up learning this cycle, but this cycle was a little different. It was just bondage, faith, repentance, and then liberty, abundance, and pride was the whole other side. You didn't see the complacency or the apathy or the dependence. And I don't know if dependence is on that one that we usually see or not. But my question is, how does pride correlate with complacency and apathy and dependence? What is it about being proud that makes us complacent and apathetic and dependent?
Good question.
Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Well,
I didn't really have a long time to ponder
I think that
in mine today.
I think that once a group of people or society or me as an individual, when I reach abundance, then comes the question as to whether I'm going to remember God, or if I'm so wealthy that I look to myself and to what I did, or instead of realizing that God is the ultimate provider, the ultimate in my life. And so if I have gotten away from the faith, if I've gone to, oh, look at me, I'm doing so good, or whatever, then it will end up being that through the pride cycle that it'll end up in bondage. And I think that this pride and then bondage is, is similar to, what it is, like apathy and dependence, that type of thing.
Well, what I hear you saying too is when we're not depending on God, but we think it's us, that's being prideful, because we're not being humbly submissive. We're thinking it's us. That is complacency. That's the state we're in when we're complacent. We think, well, I'm the one that got myself here. I'm doing great. I don't need God. I don't need help. But I don't. So that to me ties in pride to complacency.
And then apathy is more a correlation with wickedness? I mean, I have a hard time with both of those, complacency and apathy. Maybe I need to do a word study of complacency and understand the difference between complacency and apathy, and how those fit in society with pride. I'm having a hard time seeing
I
that.
want to make a comment about the dependence,
Okay.
the sense of entitlement that we see prevalent in our society right now.
Yes.
It's like people owe us or something. It's a mentality of being owed. When I was working in a public school as a library, I saw a sign in the teacher's office that said every child has a right to an education. And that sign really bothered me because I don't think education is a right. I think it's kind of like I'm entitled to it or whatever. It doesn't have the connotation of working for it and contributing. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can hear me.
That is so backwards, because from what we've learned, at least, I don't know, Mike, if you've ever read the Thomas Jefferson Education, but he makes it very clear in there that you cannot teach a student. A student has to learn for themselves. So how do you make that a right that you can give every child? It has to be something that they do on their own.
Backwards.
Yeah. And so I guess that's part of my looking at this Tytler cycle as an individual cycle as well as a societal cycle. I guess the family is the primary unit of society, so I guess we all, we all work on that individually, but yeah, I totally agree with you, Kate. That's, a little backwards.
Yeah. Well, and it does make sense that society, the adults in society would have some sort of sense of entitlement if we're starting from the kids, saying,
right,
you have a right to an education, you will be given an education. If that mentality's started from the kids, when are they going to change? When are they going to want to start taking responsibility if we're not learning to take responsibility?
Absolutely.
And so we're fighting it in our homes, making sure our children learn responsibility, but if the whole society is having a different mindset, that's a big battle.
It is.
Well, and I think that the idea of the definition. I've studied the 1828 dictionary for the past maybe 2 years. And I really have found that it is more in tune with with my life as I study the scriptures, as I study topics that I find that both the 1828 dictionary and the newer dictionary, they are totally, both are have merit, but yet the true dictionary, or the true 1828 dictionary, is what I think I need to help other people realize that, like the point of happiness. It's, what we think of happiness now is not what the founding fathers were teaching and talking about happiness or liberty.
Or what the scriptures teach about happiness.
Yes. And so I'm really focusing on what the founding fathers and what the Book of Mormon and what the God would have me do, and hopefully it'll spill over into the lives of people I come in contact with. So
I think